Hello, and welcome to the podcast version of the Independent Artist Audit. I started this podcast as a spinoff of the short form content series where I feature a song from an independent artist and do a deep dive on their song. The inspiration for this podcast was to have the artist come on and have a longer discussion. And today on the podcast, we have a very special guest who was featured on the second installment of the Independent Artist Audit. Hailing from Sydney, Australia, a man who is an incredibly hardworking gigging musician, a guy who has been seen practicing for his Netflix documentary about transitioning from barista to full-time musician, someone who has volunteered to replace Peter Parker as the guy on the wall, sometimes described as some 5'9" guy with blue eyes and a smile, and someone who has been known to write diabolical lyrics. I'd like to welcome singer-songwriter Caleb Foster to the podcast.
G'day, everybody. Thanks for having me on, Matt.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for taking the time. In the short time I've known your music, I've become such a huge fan. So I'm honored to have you. For anybody that doesn't know who you are, can you just give a little intro on yourself?
Yeah, man. So my name is Caleb Foster. The way I describe myself is kind of like if Ed Sheeran did country music, think like really heartfelt and diabolical lyrics like you'd get from your Noah Kahns and Cameron Whitcombs with your sweet melodies of your Ed Sheeran and Chris Stapleton kind of stuff. Big part of my inspiration growing up was the sort of gospel pop folk music. Growing up in a gospel Christian centered home. My dad's a pastor. I'm the eldest of 7 kids, so there was a lot of music in the house growing up. And yeah, I grew up like playing drums and singing in church. And then around 15, I started writing my own stuff. And it kind of over the last sort of 15 years since then, knocking on the door of 30 now, I've been sort of writing and stuff. It's only been in the last really 12 months that I've been taking it as seriously as I wish that I had been, but better late than never. And now, yeah, my full-time job is gigging around Sydney, my home city, in bars and pubs and stuff like that, and working towards continuing to grow that. Yeah, that's, if I can wrap it up in a minute, that's probably me
Nice.
in a little nutshell.
So you started as a musician and singer in church. Were you just singing back then, or did you start playing guitar back then too?
Drums was the first thing, actually. So I started playing drums first because I've always been a bit of a tapper, and like singing and stuff. Like you grow up singing as part of a congregation, and you know singing at home and stuff like that. But in terms of like actually like being up front singing, probably wasn't until I was like 15, 16 when I was actually. It was around that 14, 15, 16 when I kind of realized, oh, I can actually hold a tune and can actually have a decent voice. And when I think it was about 14 when I heard the song Lego House by Ed Sheeran. And that was the first song that I like credit to me wanting to write music and wanting to start really playing guitar more and singing more. And yeah, that's probably how it kind of kickstarted, I guess.
You recently devoted yourself to music full time. You were in the coffee industry prior to that?
Yes. Yeah. I've been a barista on and off basically since I finished school back in 2015. And that's kind of been always my backup. I've done other different things in between there. I spent some time in finance, working in like one of the sort of big banks here in Australia. I've done time working in the education system as well, as like a teacher's aide. But coffee's kind of always been the main thing. My last job that I was in just before sort of taking the dive into music was a coffee sales rep. So like a rep for a coffee brand. And that was like driving around to different cafes and restaurants and stuff like that in my city, managing accounts. So while I've said before, I wish I had started music sooner, all these different careers and stuff like that have really allowed me to pursue this a lot harder. Because I don't necessarily want to go back to doing those things as my main job, but also now that I've had the opportunity to make music my full-time career, but also when it comes to customer service, when it comes to sales, when it comes to running a business, all those skills are really transferable into what I do now. Like I'm fortunate in that I built like a really good pipeline of gigs and opportunities and contacts over the sort of last year that I was in the previous job, because I was doing it as kind of a side hustle whilst also working the main job. And then I got made redundant, or got laid off, but part of that was a bit of a payout, and that was able to set me up into making music full time. It wasn't anything huge sort of thing, but it was like enough to be able to go, okay, I can buy a van, I can get myself some a little bit more equipment that I might need to make sure that it's reliable. Yeah, like I said, all of those different sort of skills and mindsets and stuff really are transferable to running this as my own business as opposed to it just being a hobby.
You really have to sell yourself anymore, and you have to wear all the hats like you were saying. And so all of your experiences probably, it set you up nicely for being a business of one person.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I think the the sales and finance sort of side of things allowed me to, it's crazy, man. Like if I can give any advice to any artists listening who want to make this their full-time job, do not underestimate the importance of, you're an artist and that's cool and that's great, but you need to be professional and you need to be, if you can't be where you say you're going to be, make sure you communicate. Like communication is everything. Being professional in the way that you go about that and building those relationships and being reliable. When you're reliable and you show up on time, when you're punctual, people notice that more than the crazy riff that you might be able to do in your performance. You know what I mean? Like it's sad. Like I'll notice that because I'm a musician. I'll go, oh my gosh, that's so sick. But the manager at the bar will notice that you showed up on time, that you were respectful, that you were where you said you were going to be when you said you were going to be there, etc. They'll notice if you suck, if you can't perform, but then you probably shouldn't be doing it anyway. But they're going to notice those soft skills, I guess, more so than your actual mad artist.
Yeah. You could have a great voice, but if you show up 45 minutes late, you're not going to be getting asked back, right?
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah, exactly.
That's great advice. And I hadn't really ever thought about all of the other kind of career experience lending itself well. So that's a great point. Once you started as a full-time musician, I read a story about you having a car breakdown and playing an impromptu gig in a very unlikely place. Can you tell that story?
Yeah. So literally my last day of my former job, I was borrowing my fiance's car because I had to give back the work vehicle, and I was borrowing her car. And so I've left the old job, super excited. I'm like, I'm no longer a slave to corporate Australia. I'm now, an artist, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, full-time musician, super excited. I'm driving. It's about a 2.5-hour drive from where I was working or where that office was to the venue. And I'm about halfway there and I see the heat indicator on the thermometer on the car is like right in the red zone. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I pull it over and I open it and there's like steam coming out of it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Get it a little bit further to like a service station, try and put some coolant in it. Nothing. And I'm like, I'm going to be there in an hour to set up. This is, I was meant to start at, I think 6. This is at like 4:30. I'm like, okay, I've got to either cancel my first gig of my first night of being like this being my full-time job, or I cop an Uber and work it out later. So I copped the like $120 Uber or something like that it was to get me up there. Drove there, did the gig. It was fine, like nothing crazy, but got there. But then I was like, okay, well now it's time for me to get home. I've got gigs tomorrow, so it's not like I can, reschedule those either, or I could, but I didn't want to. So I caught a taxi to the train station, and this is up in Sydney's Blue Mountains. If anyone knows where that is, it's like it's not quite regional Australia, but it's starting to get like, it's out the outskirts of the city, right? I mean, this was like close to Christmas time. This was in like late December. I get on the train and I've got my guitar and all my gear and stuff like that with me. Like it's ridiculous. So I get on the train, and as I'm getting on, there's like a group of like 20 or 30 people who are on like a pub crawl or like a bar crawl sort of thing, like for Christmas it must be a Christmas work party or something. And they all get on, and then one of them sees my guitar and they're all like a little bit drunk, they're all having a good time. And they're like, play us a song, mate. And I think I started playing some songs for them and stuff, and they like were all singing along, and it was great. And it was kind of one of those real moments of like, I was a little bit down on the night because I was like, oh man, I've got this car issue to sort out. And like the gig wasn't like amazing. It didn't feel like it was like all that great. And then this happened, and got a few different new followers and stuff. And it was just a really cool moment of like, this is why I do what I do. It's not necessarily about the money. It's not like, I'm glad that I can support myself with it, but having those special moments was just really cool.
Yeah, the timing is wild as you're transitioning into your new full-time career and having 100%. the ups and downs, and then suddenly this gig presents itself to you.
It was really like a trial by fire, 100%. It was like it was kind of this like thing of like God saying, "Is this what you want to do? Are you sure this is what you want to do, buddy?" And I was like, "Yes, this is what I want."
You saw an opportunity and you cashed in on it. That's awesome.
100%.
So since then, you've been gigging a lot, and I think when we chatted before, I know you're doing like many gigs a week. How many are you averaging right now?
Average right now is like at least 5 or 6 a week. So
Wow.
it's definitely a full-time job. The most I've done in 1 week, I think, is 9. so far. And that's like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people because it is tough. Like I think I'm up to from January, I think I'm up to or just over 150 gigs for the year now.
You're doing multiple a day in some instances then.
Yeah, weekends are pretty much always multiple a day. Usually it'll be, my schedule often looks like from Monday to Thursday, I'll probably have 3 gigs, 3 to 4, depending on the week. And then Friday, pretty much always booked in. And then Saturday, you will usually be 2 gigs, like one afternoon and one evening. And then Sunday will usually be the same, one afternoon, one evening. That's like quite typical. Sometimes like maybe on the Sunday, I'll only have one. So it'll be like 4 gigs in the weekend. Super lazy. or
the easy weekends.
Or sometimes like I remember there was one weekend not too long ago that I only had like one Friday, one Saturday, one Sunday. And I was like, what is this? Like it felt weird. And it only ended up happening. It was actually a blessing in disguise. It happened on a weekend where I was meant to have 2 on Sunday and 3 on Saturday, I believe. And I rocked up to the last one on the Saturday and they were like, the venue was closed and they hadn't let the agency that booked me know. And I was like, or they were like partially closed, like they were renovating. So like only a small section of it was open and they were like, oh, we were meant to cancel, but you know, you can stick around. And I was like, mate, I'm going to go surprise my missus and I'm going to go home. So don't worry about it. I'm going to get paid
a night off.
But yeah, busy schedule.
Are you doing most of your gigs around Sydney or do you travel out further than that?
But most of them around Sydney, though I just have locked in a month residency that was like kind of last minute. So like a residency is where, sorry if I'm over explaining, but if people don't know what that is, a residency is where you have like a guaranteed set gig at a specific location for a certain period of time. That might be a month, that might be 6 weeks, that might be half a year. But I took a rare weekend off, like completely off for my fiancée and I's anniversary. We went down to one of the snow resorts in New South Wales in my state. We were down there and there's live music at different venues and stuff. And I rocked up and I asked the manager, hey, like usually they book this out like far in advance, right? Like they book their entertainment at the start of the year. And our snow season is the opposite of the US being in the southern hemisphere. Our snow season is like June to September as opposed to like, November to February sort of thing. But we were there and I said, hey, like, is there any chance that I could get on the roster for next year? Because I'd love to get contacts, even if you're not booking it now. Let me get in touch with you now so I can get in there. Because usually they'll give you free accommodation, discount on passes and all that stuff. It's a fun time. And she's like, actually, we need a drummer and a backup singer if you're willing to do that. I was like, hell yeah, I'll do that. Like, why not have a little bit of fun doing something that I used to do a bit of, and I'm sure there'll be an opportunity for me to get up and sing a couple of songs here and there. But yeah, so I've just booked that in for pretty much the month of August, which was really like, it was super last minute. So after this, I'm going to be like packing and stuff like that so I can leave tomorrow to get started on this sort of month stint.
It's awesome. Congrats.
But, thanks, man. Thank you. But yeah, it's the scheduling of everything is always crazy.
You posted a reel of like your live rig and do you travel around with that rig to every gig?
I do. So that's like, sometimes I'll not bring my electric guitar in, but I pretty much keep so I have a big like creepy panel van.
Nice.
And so that was like what I decided that I'd get with my payout money from my last job. So that way I can chuck a mattress in the back and I can, if I'm on a longer road haul. But again, even though most of my gigs are around my city, occasionally if I have to travel out, and earlier this year I did like a little tour. I went interstate to two of the other sort of capital cities on either opposing side of Sydney, down to Melbourne, which is in our southernmost or second southernmost state, Victoria. It's like a 10-hour drive up to Brisbane, which is like in Queensland, which is north, is like a 11-hour drive or so. So we had a few pit stops along the way and just like slept in the van. I pretty much keep all of that stuff with me just to make it easier, rather than, oh, what do I want to bring with me this time? I'll just it's easier to just bring it all. I've got this big like black like Foot Locker case that my grandpa gave me when I was like 13. That's kind of useful because I just take that with me everywhere. I used to have it like in multiple bags and containers, and then I was like, oh, I've got this Foot Locker that I just keep sentimental stuff in that I really don't need, I can just shuffle that into some boxes. But it's been super useful. And then I have a little trolley that I pull that all around into. That was a gift to make it easier.
And what percent of your gigs are you playing covers versus your own originals?
Most of my gigs, I'll play probably 3 to 4 covers to one original. So like pretty much every gig I'll play originals at. I just slip them in and I'll say, hey, this is a song of mine. Either it's released, go check it out, or I haven't put this one out yet. Let me know what you guys think. And often when I'm playing like unreleased originals, it's a good sort of chance to see what people's interests are, or like whether that's something that people connect with.
You get a good reaction. You're like, I'm going into the studio for this one next.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's interesting because sometimes I'll get a really great reaction because I live stream all of my gigs on TikTok. So that's another way that I've sort of continued to grow my audience on TikTok. Hey, and if there's any artists that are gigging and you're still like trying to build up an audience and find a way to generate content, live stream, because you're both engaging with your fans, as well as like TikTok saves your streams for like at least 30 days. If you do like a great cover or you have a cool interaction or something like that with a crowd member or something like that, then that's a cool clip that you can make. Because I know some people record their sessions and stuff, but firstly, it takes up a lot of memory, but at least if you do it through TikTok, it's on their cloud. Say it saves a little bit on your app storage or whatever, but realistically, it's not that much.
Does that make you extra nervous when you're playing, knowing that you're live streaming out to the world?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
The beauty of being part of a big family, Matt, is you crave attention. So I make this joke all the time of like, especially if I'm like opening for another artist, is like, and usually I love the opportunity to play pub gigs and that be what earns my living. But my favorite are the shows that are like proper ticketed shows, because people are there to see you, right? Or it's at least see another artist, and then they get an opportunity to warm the crowd up and stuff. But one of my favorite jokes to say at those sort of shows is like, thank you guys for paying attention and validating my need for validating me. Again, being the oldest child of 7, I need that.
Yeah, one of 7, you must have to fight for attention quite a lot.
Oh no, I say that, but I was very blessed to have awesome parents, and my siblings and I growing up were very close and stuff. But also being the oldest, like you naturally end up kind of being a bit more of there gets to that point of like when you get to over 4 siblings, where the older ones start, like me and the second oldest, my sister Abby, both sort of like become pseudo parents, where you help them look after the younger ones a little bit. But it was great. I wouldn't change it.
Now that we kind of covered the gigging piece, I want to talk about how our paths crossed. So,
sure.
So I had started doing that song review challenge, and you commented on the day 3 reel, and I think you had said like, just sent you a DM, brother, solo artist from Australia, which for some reason, if people call me brother, it's like, it makes me feel good. It's like getting a warm hug.
Oh, really? That's so cool. Some people are weird about that. Some people are weird about that, man. Some people are like, you're not my brother. Really? But that's cool that got your attention. That's cool.
Yeah, like I'm not literally your brother. I did have a brother growing up, so maybe it's something to do with that. I think it's just one of those things that it always kind of like tickles me a little bit. So I saw your comment, and so then I go over to the DM and I pull up your song. And one of the best things about music is tying your memory to like the first time ever hearing a song. And I was at the park with my kids, and my kids are like playing on the swings, and I pull up your song. I have like one earbud in, so I can kind of keep track of the park. And I'm hearing your song, and I'm just like blown away. And I'm trying to like,
wow.
Where are my kids? Because I'm like, I'm kind of freaking out over this song. And just hearing your voice for the first time, I was like, this song is special. Like right away, it just grabbed me. And so then we kind of started going back and forth a little bit, and I asked you about the inspiration. And I think this was the first installment where I had actually had like a back and forth before posting the reel. And I was asking you for the inspiration. You sent me a very detailed voice memo back, and yes. I loved the voice memo so much.
Oh,
so
thanks,
for those that have not heard the voice memo, can you give the little quick rundown of the inspiration for Should Have Stayed Home?
Yeah. So I'll try and remember kind of what I said to you, but more or less the inspiration for the song was, I think there's a lot of songs out there that cover the that person hurt me or that person, has done me wrong. But this song is more from that perspective of I'm the one that's screwed up. And I feel like this person that I love and who, things are seemingly over with, they would be better off without me, which I think is a really sad reflection of my state of my mental health, but also is something that people do often feel, but there's not a lot of music about that. I think that I've definitely spoken to, and I think that it's quite a unique perspective, but I think as a man, as a bloke, I think it's something that I think a lot of guys go through, like after a breakup, like, particularly if you're self-aware enough to reflect, you can sometimes have that state of mind of going, yeah, maybe this person would have been better off without me, or they are better off without me, and maybe it would have been better if we hadn't have met, which is sad, and there was definitely some diabolical lyrics that, follow from that sort of mindset and that sort of message. But yeah, that's in a nutshell, the inspiration. I hope that kind of captures what I said.
The voice memo, like, it humanizes us, and hearing your voice and your Australian accent, and the way you pitched your song was so eloquent. And I think that's such an underrated skill as an artist, is being able to like have a unique song pitch. And the way you pitched it was so brilliant, and I think it just does such great justice to the song. And so, posted it. Any reactions to what I had said about your song?
Yeah, well, I remember being one of my favorite things was when I sing the line like "Baby You" and seeing your visual reaction to listening to it live was just like, oh man, that's really cool. And what I really liked about, and what I've liked about all your reviews, is that there's clearly a piece in each song that you form an attachment to, and that you share that with, because I think that's the human experience, right? It's like you grow an attachment to a certain song, that any song that you love or that you listen to, there's always going to be a hook that particularly grabs you. Like these days, like all artists, like, you get told you need hooks in your songs, which is true. Like, our attention spans are dying faster and faster by the second these days.
True.
But
yeah,
but I think whether the song was engineered for that or whether it wasn't, every person who loves a song will have a moment in a song that they love, and that grabbed their attention and made them really love the song. And it was cool to see that. What it seemed like that was one of those moments for you.
absolutely. Yeah. Hearing that "Baby You" at the end of the chorus, like, I think I was trying to do like a mind blown reaction to that part. But that's just, it's so singable. It just gets stuck in your head. And we've been playing your song in our house, and, my kids are really into music now. And so my daughter's going around singing that, my wife's singing that. And,
wow. Wow, man, that's awesome. That's so
you're a hit.
cool.
Yeah, you're a hit in our house for sure. Your vocal, the way it was recorded and the way it sounds, it and this process, it's so raw, and it gives you such a good vibe for your voice. And I really wanted to highlight that. And some things that I did not highlight, and I think we've talked a little bit about, is your guitar playing. And the guitar playing is so solid throughout. And you and I were going back and forth about those quick little triplet strums that you do.
Yeah.
That we didn't have a name for. So I thought we could maybe call them Foster flips.
Foster flips. I'll take it. I'll take it, man. I'll take it. I'll own it. I can tell you the inspiration for that sort of style of guitar playing. If you guys haven't heard of this guy, his name's Aaron Rowe. He opened for Lewis Capaldi on his Australian tour, and I think he did a little bit of time opening for him elsewhere, but he also opened for Ed Sheeran on his North American run, his Loop tour, and he's awesome. He's got such an incredible, he's an Irish folk singer, and his song Please Don't Hate Me, similar sort of vibe to Should Have Stayed Home.
Nice.
And that was definitely an inspiration for me when I was writing Should Have Stayed Home. I don't want to say I ripped it off. I don't think I ripped it off. I think it's unique enough that it wasn't that, but it definitely had some influence on that. And he's awesome. If you guys haven't heard of him, you should definitely check him out. And then also quickly, if I can, on the production side of things, definitely want to give my producer, Ryan Cramp, a shout out. He does an incredible job, I think, of bringing to life my voice, particularly. I think I've tried recording from home before, like two of my tracks that are on Spotify, Breathing Exercise and Timber Eyes. Like, I love the song, but I'm not super stoked with the production, but I did those from home, But he does such a great job of bringing out the tone and the depth and the emotion, or at least not bringing it out, but like I had to bring it out. But he does a great job of highlighting that and exhibiting that in the mix and the production of it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that can go wrong with that. There's a lot that you have to get right to make that sound good. And it's so crystal clear. And even just the little cracks in your voice at times are just captured so well. And it just really adds to the emotion of the song.
And what I love, I've worked with Ryan for a little while now. We did our first song together pretty much this time last year, which was Universe 777. And since then, we've just found a real great rhythm working together, I think. I've done one song that wasn't with him, which was Rope Burn, and that was just a one take basic one that I did at a different studio. But pretty much everything else between there and Should Have Stayed Home has been with him. And I love that. It's kind of like any work relationship. Like you just get into a rhythm with people and they know your strengths. And we've gotten to the point in our relationship now where you can do a bit better than that, Caleb. There were takes.
Calls you
there were
out.
takes that I was like, oh, that was okay. And he's like, I don't think you quite nailed that one, man. Let's do it again. I was like, okay. But no,
Which can be tough to say to someone, right?
Yeah. But I appreciate his honesty, but I also love that I'll often send him clips or stuff and we're wanting to work on more stuff in the not too distant future. Foreshadowing.
Ooh, spoiler.
Spoiler. But I've been like sending him voice notes and stuff like that of other songs that I want to do, and which is hard because I'd love to give him like a full demo, but I don't have like the equipment to do that at home at the moment. But yeah, we've definitely got plenty more to come.
Excellent. How'd you guys get linked up originally?
We got linked up through actually I got linked up through a mutual friend who was the guy that gave me my first paid gig in the start of last year. And that night was kind of the catalyst for me wanting to pursue music full time, because up till then it was kind of like only like a pipe dream, really like a bit of a hobby sort of situation and wanting to do it. But we had this gig at a pub, and then afterwards we went to like an open mic kind of karaoke thing. And at this karaoke bar, we'd done a couple songs, and then there's this, and it was a pretty quiet night, but then this big group of backpackers came through, like, young people from like 20s to 30s. And I got up and sung some Noah Khan songs, and like the whole crowd was like singing along with me. And I was like, this is what I want to do. It was similar to that train gig moment, very similar vibes of like a confirmation of this is what I want to do kind of moment.
An intoxicating feeling.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Diving into Should Have Stayed Home a bit more, I guess in your writing process, do you normally start with some guitar chords and just kind of hum a melody over it? Or how does that work?
Really depends. For this one, it was playing around with the guitar a bit, and I don't necessarily hum a melody. I kind of just like spit out words and then see what sticks. And like the melody and the words will kind of come at the same time. I've always got my voice notes out so I don't lose anything. Yeah, my songs will usually start with the melody over the chords, but for this particular one, I was messing around on the guitar a little bit first. And because like some of my songs, I'll be driving around and I'll have some words come to me and I'll just sort of sing them out and I'll be like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. Voice record that, save it for later, come back to it, add chords and etc. But for this one, distinctly, I was sitting like over there and I was in my feels because at that time, my partner and I were taking time apart, and I thought it was sort of all over. And again, just thought she'd be better off without me, hence the song. And I'm like sitting there, and at the time was like getting messages from people that was just like making me really upset and sad. I'm like, I'm crying and I'm writing this song, and I'm like, this song's fucking awesome. I'm like so sad.
Some mixed emotions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I remember showing it to a friend, and they were like, mate, that's like some of the best stuff I think that I've heard you write so far. But yeah, it was definitely one of those moments of like, oh, this is a bit of a winner, which is cool. But
so you knew right away. You're like, ooh, I got something good here.
Yeah.
A couple of things about the lyrics. I know we talked about the diabolical parts, but there's definitely some words that I got wrong initially. And I thought it should have stayed home with your dad, but it is not that.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like, cause I feel like nan isn't a particularly American word to use for like your grandma, right? So like nan is like a very Aussie / British term for your grandma. So yeah, the reference to that was when Liv, my fiance, when we first met, because the whole story, right, of this song is like going back to our first date and saying maybe you should have just never come, and then you'd be spared the heartbreak and the pain that you're going through, that I'm going through. And at the time she was living with her grandma, so that's why that's where it came from.
I love it. Yeah, when you told me, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The other thing I think I was messaging you about, I'm like, what are you saying after that? You're saying instead of getting in your, and I didn't know what that word was, but it's Holden, which I did not know what that was either.
Yeah, Holden is a Aussie car brand, which again was the type of car. If I could go back and change one lyric and find another way to say that, that's probably the one lyric that I would do differently. Only because I wouldn't. I love it because it's very hyper specific.
Yeah.
And like kind of unique, but at the same time, it's like, it's a little bit confusing that some people like yourself would be curious, like, oh, what's a Holden? Like, look that up. Like, and the good thing is I put up my lyrics relatively quickly, I think, on Spotify. But there was definitely some people that were like, what's a Holden? You know, yeah. That's if I was to change anything about the song, just to make it slightly more commercially,
universal,
universal, I would have, said something slightly different. But at the same time, I stand by it.
It gives that Aussie charm, that Aussie signature on it.
That's right.
So yeah, as we were kind of going back and forth a bit, you said that the morning that you recorded that, you spent some time like journaling and getting in the headspace and trying to prepare yourself to record that. Can you talk about that process?
Yeah, for sure. When I was writing out sort of what I was thinking and feeling at the time, I literally like kind of wrote out the lyrics and then what they specifically meant to me and where I was at the time and how it felt to be in those moments. And it was emotional. I was sitting in a cafe that was probably like 20 minutes or so away from my producer's place. And I was sort of journaling and just writing about that experience and what it was like. It was brutal, but it was good. And I felt like the emotion really came through as a result of it.
Yeah, it probably allowed you to like channel that emotion to come through in your vocal performance, I would guess.
100%.
Brilliant idea.
Thank you.
How did you decide when the song was finished? I think as a maker of music myself, something that I really struggle with is like, I just keep trying to fix it until it's perfect. And then suddenly it's like, I've been doing this for way too long. Is there a trick or a hack that you have for just like, okay, we're good now?
I have the opposite problem. I get so in a run, and this is my thing. I am literally like, when I say in that song, because I move too quickly, I am so like, let's just get it out. Let's just do it. Whereas I've gotten better at slowing down and being like, let me go away from the song for a little bit, think about it. Because when I first hear, I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. Like it sounds great. Like, let's do it, And whereas my partner, she's a lot more like you in that she's like, I'm never happy with anything. Even when she's writing, never happy with anything.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I have tried to get better and better at going, let me review that. Let me come back to it later. So for this one, it was probably like a week or so after recording that like I heard a few tweaks from Ryan and just like little post-production stuff that he did. But because we do everything, like we do multiple takes when we do stuff, and I'm just doing guitar and singing, writing harmonies. So it's kind of like we hear it, and if it sounds good, we keep it. If it doesn't, then we do it again. Or we'll do multiple takes. And what we'll do is something called comping, which in production is where let's say you might sing the whole line of "Just stay at home with your nan" instead of getting in your Holden to see an old boy like me. We probably did 4 or 5 takes of the whole chorus, right? Just so that way it's easier to sing the whole way through. But then we might chop out "Should Have Stayed Home" from the first take, mix it with the 4th take of "With Your Nan." Like, not that hyper specific, but let's say there might be multiple lines in different takes that you chop out to sound the best. Because like live, it's always going to sound pretty good, like based off of how you mix it in your live mix with reverb and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, if you stuff it up a little bit live, like there's always next time. But when you have something that you want to put out there permanently, on the internet, you want to get it to the best possible version of it. So, but we do all of that stuff pretty much on the same day. Like we knocked out all the recording stuff of this song on one day and all of the mixing of the vocals and the guitar on one day.
Amazing.
And then he did a bit of post-production stuff with like the strings and the piano and like the percussion stuff over the next sort of week. And there was a couple of things that he tried that I was like, oh, I'm not super stoked with that. Like, I don't think it adds to the song. I think it kind of muddies it a little bit too much. But I think what it ended up with, I was really, really stoked with.
Those high vocal harmonies in the song add so much to it, and your range is wild. Like you can go low, but you also can hit those high notes too.
Thank you. one of the big influences that I had musically growing up, one was screamo, like metalcore, death metal sort of stuff. That helps a lot with the vocal control side of things. But then also I love Panic at the Disco. Brendan Urie is just like a phenomenal vocalist. Like if there was any vocalist that I could be like, he would probably be the one. I don't necessarily love all of their songwriting and stuff like that. I probably wouldn't attribute as much of my songwriting inspiration from them. I love a lot of their music, but his vocal range and power is just phenomenal.
Easy.
And
Yeah.
I grew up probably from that sort of like 17 through, early 20s, singing along to a lot of that, to their like Death of the Bachelor album and the Say Amen album as well. And there's some just crazy vocal stuff in there of those records. And that definitely helped me push myself to try and get better at getting to those higher sort of notes and stuff like that. And it's been a lot of fun trying to push myself to that, but also knowing, okay, that's your limit. Yeah.
There is such a thing as too high.
That's right. Usually once you've popped a vocal cord, which I haven't done, fortunately, but I'd be like, getting there.
Which is amazing considering how many shows you play.
Oh, well, look, I've tried to be disciplined with how I warm up for shows. Also, like with constantly popping like vitamin C, garlic echinacea, like stuff like that to keep my immune system up, drinking plenty of water. I'm not necessarily a teetotaler of won't ever have alcohol, but there'll be times where I'm like, I'm just going to take a break from it because it is hard. Like sometimes when you're working at pubs most nights of the week to not go, and especially if they're places that offer it to you for free. When it's places that don't offer it to you for free, it's easier to go, I'll save my money. But if it's places that offer it to you for free, then it's a bit harder to be like, no, I don't want a pint of Guinness.
My voice.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that I try and be careful about, is like what I'm drinking, what I'm eating. And again, just like I'll recognize, and you pace yourself throughout the week. You still give 110% when it comes to effort, but you go, okay, you know what? I'm going to drop this song down a key or two because I know I can still make it sound good. Or if anything, I'll raise it higher and just go into a bit more falsetto. Like, for example, Castle on the Hill, I normally do that in C sharp major, but sometimes I'll just do it in C, or sometimes I'll put it up to E and then just sing it very slow and like do a softer acoustic rendition of it. So I'm not like belting it out and I can just sort of take my time with it. That's like one example.
Can you transpose those chords on the fly like that?
No, I'm lazy. I'll use a capo.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, that's impressive.
I'm just
you can
transposing the key in my head of what, like most songs are 4-chord songs. Like if you know the 4 chords that are in those songs,
For sure.
you can. If I was without a capo, I could do it. It would just be not the most comfortable for some of the ones that are a bit more bar chord centric.
Much easier to slide down a fret than try to transpose a whole chord section.
Well, exactly. But like sometimes you'll have to do that when I get requested a song that's not necessarily a part of my usual repertoire, but it's like, I know the song, I'll play it, and I've got to like figure out what the key is and like make sure I pick the right one, so that way if it gets to a high part that I've kind of forgotten about, that I don't go, oh, here we go. I'm either going to go way down like low and it's going to sound like really boring, or I'm going to be like, like fighting for my life.
Chord change real quick while I try that again.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just like key change back to a non-angelic key.
Do you have a favorite key that you write songs in?
No, I don't. Symphony of Hers in E minor, Universe 777 and Should Have Stayed Home are in D major. Blood Loss is in E major. Yeah, like I Roadburn, I'm pretty sure is in A or maybe even B flat. And then like a lot of my other songs will be in like, depends on what's best. But a lot of times it'll be either G or C shapes with the capo and stuff. Should Have Stayed Home was probably one of the first ones that I wrote purely in D shapes as opposed to just putting the capo up. One thing I don't do that I know a lot of folk / country artists do is I don't do the open tuning. I don't like it. That's a strong word. It's not that I don't like it. Because I like riffing on the scales, I'm just lazy. Like I'd rather not have to learn the new patterns, and I can just I'll learn the different chords because the chords are easier to. I'll learn that new chord if I want to versus having to memorize new patterns on the fretboard. I guess for me that's just how my mind works. But like I've tried doing like open tunings and stuff like that to just like play around with it. I'm just like I'm not feeling the inspiration like I would be if I was doing my standard tuning stuff, but maybe give it a couple of years, maybe I'll feel like doing that. But personally, not for me.
So yeah, promotion, as we've talked about, is very tough as a solo artist.
Yeah.
What have you found work for you as in promoting your music and getting yourself out there?
The biggest thing is consistency, which I've struggled with at times. Like honestly, I will put a massive caveat on this, and I'm so glad that I got back together with Liv. But I think because we got back together before the song came out, my promotion of the song kind of died as it was coming up to release, because I was like happy and then not sort of as in my feels. Like I still was going through some stuff, but it felt weird promoting the song now that we were back together. Whereas Symphony of Her, I was like posting several times a day, and that's been my best song so far because I was posting several times a day. I got onto a few, there was like a very book talk heavy, because it's like a bit of a sort of dark romance kind of song. And it's all about, I think, getting onto the right niche for the song. And I heard something the other day around if you're finding the sort of key message in your hooks and in your songs, and you're making content around what that feeling is, and then that's the best way to promote. And I think that's what I did unknowingly with Symphony of Her, and what in the success that I've had with other songs is when you've been able to focus on those sort of like key feelings and those emotive things that people connect with and make content around that. That's probably the best way. And then like honestly, like playing gigs as well has been great for promoting my following and connecting with people. It's been nice to see over probably the last 3 months or so. I've started to gain some people that will be like, oh, like you're playing in my area, I'm going to come out and see you. People that have come to gigs and said, we're going to come back and see you because we know that you're playing. So I try and keep my Instagram regularly updated with where I'm playing, and there's a site called Bands in Town that you could register your gigs and where you're playing, and that's international as well as in Australia. That's been a great tool for promoting where I'm playing as well and getting people out and about. In terms of promotion, the biggest thing that you can do is be consistent and make content that connects with people emotionally. But also, on top of that, is then staying engaged with people once they start engaging with you. Like the worst thing, I think one of the greatest things that I saw you do really well was you continue to engage with people. Even if a video is a little bit older, like I've seen, you and I have both seen comments come in on the video that you did about Should Have Stayed Home, that I've tried to stay in the loop with anyone that's commented since then. And, even though that was 3 months ago now or something like that.
Right.
Trying to stay in the loop with people. And it's really sad because the amount of times that I'll have people who have found me on a live stream message me and be like, you probably won't reply to this, but just wanted to say I love your music. And I reply to them straight away, and they're like so shocked and like, oh my God, he just replied. Like, I don't know if there's people that just think they're too cool or whatever to like respond, or maybe they're thinking that I'm at a much higher level than I am. Maybe that's more what it is. Because I know there's people like, your Cam Whitcombs and your Noah Kahns and Ed Sheerans and stuff like that they probably don't even run their own social media really. So they're not probably responding to personal messages. But it's one of those things of if you be consistent, stay engaged with the people that connect with you, and don't lose that.
Yeah, I think that engaging and sort of being part of the community is super important. I recently saw a content creator posting a reel of like important and not important. And it was like, posting time, not important. And they're telling you all these things. And one of them was like engaging with people on the platform, and they're like not important. I was like, what?
Wow.
That's shocking to me. Like, if nobody's engaging, there's never going to be a comment out there.
I wonder if there's differences for different platforms, because I know TikTok particularly thrives off of mutual engagement, right? I don't know what Instagram's like. I don't know if maybe he's talking about just for the purpose of content going further.
Yeah, that might be.
That's if you want to be a content creator, not
or...
if you want to grow a community. One mindset shift that has helped for me when it comes to, because I hear so many artists complain about like, oh, I signed up to be an artist, not a content creator. It's like, don't think of it as content creation. Think of it as fan engagement. You want fans, right? You want people that want to stream your music. Then you got to make content that engages with them, because that's their platform. That's their medium that you reach them, right? Like once upon a time, there was your AC/DCs, your Princes, your Michael Jacksons, your big artists who, yes, they didn't have to rely on that, because at that time record labels had to do the promotion through radio and posters and all that sort of stuff. And that was more on them to do that, right? Whereas now the expectation is that the artist does it, but it's also the expectations of your fans that you engage with them and that you make content that makes them excited about what you're doing. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine, but then don't expect success.
Right.
And it's not, and you've, like, I've heard so many people say, you have to have a foundation of writing great music, which I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to make great music that people can connect with and that people can enjoy. But also then the next thing is that you've got to make people know about it. And sadly, in the 21st century, the way that you've got to do that is through social media. It's not about being a content creator. It's about engaging with your fans,
Yeah.
or potential
Yeah.
fans.
Being a genuine person goes a long way. And that's something that I look for when I'm picking the people that I'm going to be featuring. And is one of the reasons why I liked you so much. I'm like, this guy is so genuine. I could tell like right away in just a little couple interactions with you. I'm like, this is a genuine dude right here.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that.
Okay. So kind of discussed your dedication to music and your gigging and releasing music. So what's next for Caleb?
What's next? Well, next is going down to this sort of month's residency, which is kind of exciting. Was not expecting that. It was a bit of an unexpected turn, but normally I'm booked out like at least a month to 2 months so that in advance for work, which is great. And I'm looking forward to keep on doing that. I've got some sort of opening slots for bands and for like, community festivals and stuff like that I'm trying to work to do more and more of that sort of stuff. I would love to, by the end of next year, be doing more of the sort of original music gigs and stuff like that, as opposed to doing cover gigs that I can slip in originals into. I think I would love to make more of that sort of happen. When I get back from the stint down at the Snow, I'll be getting into the studio with my producer. We've got, more than a couple tracks that we're wanting to put together. What's great is like this, it's going to be a little bit sad because I'm going to be away from my missus for like a month, which will be like the longest we've been apart. But I'm going to be using that time to make content, to be pushing for more opportunities and, continue to grow in that way and write some great music. I'll be able to, I was literally saying to my, I think I was saying to my dad yesterday, I was like, I'll be able to put on my Noah Khan hat because I'll be at the Snow and I'll be like, like it's like I'm in the cold, being in Australia where it's so warm for a lot of the time, I'll be able to write, songs like Stick Season that are like all sad and wintry autumn vibes.
Pretend like you're in Vermont. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Exactly. But so I'll be writing, I'll be making content, be playing. Over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, it'll just be continuing to write more music, continuing to push for more opportunities to engage with great artists and people who are sort of those next few steps ahead of me, and hopefully get connect with them.
Excellent.
If I can,
very exciting.
In a nutshell, say what's next, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's very cool. All right, I've got a few questions I haven't told you about, so if you'll humor me with answering some of these.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
What lyric are you most proud of writing?
Ooh, most proud of writing. Out of my released stuff, I would probably say it would either have to be from Should Have Stayed Home, You Would Have Looked So Perfect in a Long White Dress. I think that one is just like, when I wrote that, I was like, I'm crying, but this is great. Or in Symphony of Her, very cheeky, but all the neighbors know my name, but they haven't met me anywhere. So those are probably two of my favorite ones that I'm like that really clever and really either clever and cheeky or like gut punch and like a little bit profound.
Well, in that long
mind.
long white dress line where you have the harmony over the top of it, just like even more diabolical.
Yeah.
Have you ever had like a heckler or an experience with like a hater in the crowd that you've had to deal with at a gig?
I have. I've had several online, like in the live streams, but those are like faceless people. And then there's been ones that I've had like hecklers / like just people. There's never like nasty people, but just people that are like, they're drunk and they're being a pain in the ass. Like they got nothing better to do. And both times, or when that's happened in person, usually the rest of the crowd is like, shut up, he's awesome. What are you talking about?
They come to your aid. I love it.
Yeah. And similar in the live stream, like I'll have my fans or my regular viewers like hating on them, and I'm like, guys, it's okay. Like I really don't care. Like my policy with the live streams is like, I don't care what anyone says about me. I can take it. If they start attacking my fans or other people in the comments, then I block them because I don't care what they have to say about me. I've got thick skin. Beauty of having 6 younger siblings was they took a lot of joy in like in teasing me and I'm usually the prime target if we're at home all together. One of the best things that my dad taught me was to laugh at myself. and be able to have a good sense of humor. Because if you can laugh at yourself, no one can really get to you. And at the end of the day, like, these are people that I don't know them, they don't know me. Like, it'd be one thing if like my best friend was saying these things to me, or like,
Yeah.
someone that I really cared about their opinion. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you developed your thick
it's more
skin.
funny than it is hurtful.
Yeah, you have to have thick skin in your profession, and I've never really had any until recently. And people will just take swipes at you for no reason.
Right?
It's like,
Exactly.
what is wrong with you? I did nothing to you.
Yeah, it says a lot more about them than it does about
It's
you.
true.
Like, and mate, there's this one girl who, or at least it was a girl-faced account that was like a constant heckler on my streams, but even before music was full time. And like, people would be like, "Why is she being so mean?" I'm like, half the stuff she's saying is like hilarious. Like, it's really funny. But when she would start saying stuff to other people, I was like, okay, she's got to go.
Yeah.
It was just always, it would remind me of what my sisters would say to me, to be honest. So just that like really brutal, like making fun of my appearance or making fun of my voice, or like, I think one time before I started doing music full time, I would often go and while I was waiting for my missus to finish work, I would go onto like a roof of a shopping mall in like the roof parking, and I would like stream either from the back of my car, in the car, or I'd put the sort of tripod on the car and I'd play there on the roof. And one time she said something like, "Oh, we're bothering the pigeons today, aren't we?" And I just thought it was so funny. Like, I broke and I laughed. It was too funny. But yeah, you like you said, you gotta have thick skin, because otherwise you're not really cut out for it.
Yeah, that advice from your dad about needing to be able to laugh at yourself, that's gold.
Yeah, definitely.
Last question here. What is the single biggest mistake Americans make when they try Vegemite?
Oh, well, I don't like Vegemite either. So that I hate the stuff personally. And that's probably because my dad's American, and my mom didn't like it either. She's Aussie, but she didn't like it. The biggest mistake, all I know is from anecdotal evidence, is don't eat it like it's Nutella. If you're going to have it like I've had it. I don't despise it, but if I was to ever have it because I had to have it, I would put it on toast with generous amounts of butter, right, or margarine, whatever your preference is.
Uh-huh.
And then you'd probably put like a 20th or 5% of the amount of Vegemite to the amount of butter that you put on, right? Like, you're not, like, there's some people who love it and they'll like lather it on. But if you're going to try it with generous amounts of butter on toast. Don't have it on like normal bread, have it on toasted bread, is what I would say. But that's
Start small.
Yeah, start small. Exactly. Don't do this big like, oh, that looks yum. Nah, horrible.
I had
stuff.
never heard of that until I was getting ready for this, and I'm like, what is this Vegemite stuff?
Yeah, nah, dude, it's I don't understand the appeal, but it's like a salty sort of like spread sort of thing. And there's another thing that's more British called Marmite, and that stuff is even worse apparently. I'm not a fan. Peanut butter, like, give me, like, growing up, peanut butter and honey was always my go-to sandwich spread. Yeah.
Good advice. When I get to visit Australia one day, I will use it sparingly.
Yeah, definitely. Or like, there is something that's actually kind of nice, which we have at like one of our like chain bakeries. It's like a Vegemite scroll, so it's like cheese and Vegemite and stuff like that, and it's baked all together. And it's like, again, sparingly. It's like enough there that you can taste it, but then it's just like a salty, cheesy roll. So it's not like this smack in your face, like disgusting thing. And those are okay.
Good advice. Well, Caleb, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for taking the time to come and chat. I wish you nothing but success. I think you're a massive talent. And one day when you tour the States and you come through Chicago, I'll be excited to meet you.
Man, I'm stoked. Hopefully that's sooner rather than later. We just need some of those songs to blow up to give me the the right to do that.
Absolutely. All right, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, brother. Have a good one.
You too. Hey there. Hope you enjoyed my conversation with Caleb Foster. In the podcast, we talk about the voice memo that he sent me after I asked him what the inspiration for his song Should Have Stayed Home was, and he replied with an unsolicited voice memo. And I thought it would be fun to include that here, so I'm going to play it for you next. Check it out.
Brother, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, man. Probably easier just to send a voice note. Look, this song is about me post a breakup, reflecting on it, and going through the sort of emotions of feeling like that person would have been better off if they'd never met me. It starts off telling the love story of how my partner and I first met, and kind of going, maybe if you could go back, it would have been better if you just stayed home and had not met me, which is kind of depressing, but it is the song. I feel like there's a lot of songs out there that cover, being done wrong or being heartbroken, but there's not many songs out there that reflect on the heartbreak of being the person that has broken off potentially a good thing or something that someone that you love, and it for potentially being for the better, but you thinking that the other person would have been better off and their heart would have been safer if they had just never met you. So yeah, man, that's what the song's about. And using a lot of different elements of my love story to paint that picture. But yeah, man, thank you so much again for reviewing the song. Appreciate you taking the time to listen to it, man.